The thing that business needs more than anything is certainty. We have a provincial government that not 40 days ago said not just that they were in support of the new alignment of the Green Line, but, quote, you can bank on it, unquote. I hope that this government is not actually running ATB at the moment, because if that's how you can bank on something, it makes me nervous. So first of all, one of the biggest problems with this is simply the fact that it has absolutely eroded confidence in investing in Alberta. That's a big problem. But there's a bigger problem. The provincial government doesn't understand transit and how transit works, in that you actually have to get people from where they live to where they work. You actually have to get people to where they need to go. So a transit line is not a crayon line on a map. It actually is built very carefully to figure out how to actually get ridership and take cars off of congested freeways. And the challenge is that this particular line has been studied to death. Every single one of the things that have come out of the minister's mouth, we've already studied. There are external independent reviews that show why they don't work. For example, we called the elevated line through downtown so you didn't have to tunnel, so it was above ground like the Chicago L. That was called the Nenshi alignment because I was the only one that loved it. And because I thought it was cheaper and smarter and better and we should do it. And the engineering studies consistently showed you just can't do it. So I'll be very blunt. Why can't you run it at street level through downtown? Because our north-south streets are short and trains are long. So the train doesn't fit on a block. Simple as that. Why can't you have an elevated one? Because you have to get over the CP rail main line on 9th Avenue, which means that to have a ramp at a reasonable grade for the trains where they're not going to get stuck, you'd have to start the ramp somewhere south of 17th Avenue in the Beltline. Doesn't make any sense. These are very basic answers. The minister should have known this, or he should have asked. So what we're going to end up with is a brilliant plan from the provincial government, which I can tell you exists today. There's not doing any magic, which is a line that will go from Seton to the new arena. That'll cost probably less than $7 billion. The right-of-way is already procured, the land is already there, but it doesn't actually get you where you need to go. So the problem always was, and this is what the province has mischaracterized, we were able to get the largest federal funding for any project in Alberta's history for this project. We were able to match that funding with the provincial government for the largest project in Calgary's history. And the philosophy always was, do the hard, expensive part first. And the hard, expensive part was tunneling through downtown. Once that's done, you can add on to either end of it using existing funds, because building surface level stations in the south or the north is not that expensive. But if we spend all the money going from Seton to the arena, then we will never again have the money to bring the thing downtown. And the problem here is if you drop people off 2 kilometers away from their work and expect them to get to their job, no one's going to take the train. And if you bring it up to City Hall, which is sort of part of the plan, I still don't know how you get over under the CP main line to do that, and you drop people off at City Hall station and say connect to the red or blue line to get to work, 2 problems. Problem number 1 is that anytime you force a transfer, your ridership goes way down because people don't want to wait for the transfer. But number 2 is, anybody ever been to City Hall station during rush hour? The busiest station on the network. Those trains are packed. So if you're expecting all the people to get off a Green Line train and get on a red or blue line train, where are you going to put them? So the answer that we've heard from the government is, well, put more cars, put more trains on the red and blue lines. 7th Avenue is full. There is no more headway capacity to put more trains on 7th Avenue at rush hour. So how do you put more trains? Do you know the answer, Deb? You build a tunnel under 8th Avenue. So you'll end up building a much longer tunnel than the tunnel that the Green Line currently has. So it's all madness, it's lunacy. And so you want to know what the next step is? It's dead, I'm sorry to tell you. $800 million lit on fire, because the provincial government forgot that they're the junior funding partner. They're putting in the least amount of money. And they just assumed that if they came up with this new plan, that the feds and the city would go along. If I were the mayor or if I were the prime minister, God help me for either, I would look at this thing and say, so you want to build a thing that goes from a hospital to an arena and doesn't take people to work unless they work at the hospital? We're not funding that. So the province is going to come with a $7 billion fund line by the end of the year, and they will realize they only have $1.5 billion of their own money. They're holding the bag. The whole thing will die.